All right, hey everybody, this is Neil Macpherson here. Welcome to the second edition of our Entrepreneur Spotlight. Today we have a good friend of mine by the name of Robert Dickson with us. Robert, you want to go ahead and say hi real quick?
Hello, glad to be here.
Cool. So as usual, I'll just give you a little background real quick on how I know Robert and what we're here to talk about today, and then I'll turn it over to him. We got some questions. We'll fire away. So. Um, Robert and I have been friends for about 3 years now, I would say, somewhere in there. Um,
At least.
at least, yeah. We met at a marketing event, and we ended up kind of meeting at multiple marketing events because we did very similar things, and um, we just ended up becoming good friends over time. And I've always been impressed with the way Robert runs his business, the way that he's able to consistently bring in clients and not really need to do the whole internet marketing side of things as much, although he has, and as we were talking before the call, he's kind of got some cool things coming out soon. But um, Robert's one of those guys that's hardcore local marketing, and he makes a great living at it. So that's why I wanted to bring you on here today, Robert. I know that a good portion of my viewership is, local marketers, and I think there's a lot that people can learn from you in what you do and how you do it, and hopefully we can share some of that today.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, cool. So the first thing, basically, just want to you want to just kind of tell us a little bit about your business, what you're up to, and what exactly it is you offer, and how you go about doing things.
Sure. My business has kind of evolved over the years. It started out on the side when I had a day job, which I left in 2008. From that point, it was kind of doing web design from my basement for a while. Um, Getting clients here and there, and and that grew and grew and eventually turned into what I have now, which is basically a full service design and marketing agency. And so we offer a variety of services, but the primary ones are web design, SEO, uh, lots of different types of marketing, Facebook marketing, um, Google Ads, SEO, SEM. But we also do things like mobile apps, um, video production a little bit, but our bread and butter is web design and SEO.
Nice, and I just kind of that's awesome to me because web design, selling web design is something that I've always told people, hey, if you're looking for a good way to make money that's not complicated, that's a great way to get started. And people always kind of look at me like, what? You can still make money selling websites because they see the one-on-one.com and all that crap. But you've been doing it for years now, and it's something that you very much see as a continued viable means of income for years to come.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm always surprised when people, it seems like people don't want to do websites, like you said. They don't see that as being a very profitable thing. But to
It's actually
me,
very
it's
profitable, right?
very profitable, and it's the perfect lead-in for every other service. People are much more likely to be willing to uh, go with someone that they don't know very well for a website than they are, here, let me give you thousands of dollars to run my marketing. But after you work with them for a few months on a website, you build something great, you showed them that you're reliable, then it's a no-brainer for them to let you do their marketing as well. But which is
And you
not
get
to say, oh, go ahead.
I was just saying, but and you get paid up front in the beginning, so it's not like you have to coax them along for 2 months. You've already made some money, and now you're just gonna make more, right?
Right. Oh, absolutely.
Right.
And and websites can be very lucrative. You always, a lot of my clients are clients that use that one-in-one website builder or the GoDaddy website builder and built something really terrible and
Yeah.
and are really unhappy with it. And now they're looking to spend a little bit of money and get something that actually looks nice.
Nice.
So those things are perfect for getting clients actually.
Nice. And if you don't mind saying, how much do you charge on average, and what are your margins there, if you don't mind sharing that stuff?
Sure. It depends on the website. We can do low-end websites as little as maybe $500 to $1,000 if it's something real basic, and it's not a custom design. We can use a template or something like that. But we've built sites that we've charged $10,000 and $15,000
That's
um,
impressive.
for the media companies and major companies that need a lot of functionality. We usually put everything in WordPress because it makes it easy for our clients. But we can combine plugins. We have a coder that can do some custom work to make to kind of build into WordPress's backend a very specific function that the client needs to manage their data or their clients or whatever specific need they have.
Nice. Is that a U.S. based coder, or do you have somebody overseas that you work with?
My coders are all in Europe.
In Europe. Nice. So I'm sure you pay them well, I would
Yes,
imagine.
pretty
Nice.
well.
But it's important. It's important to do that. I've always been a big, I've told people that you can go overseas, but if you find somebody, there's a lot of benefits to having somebody in a similar time zone who understands English and all those types of things, right?
Absolutely.
That was actually one of my questions. So, in order to kind of be able to do what you're doing now, you built a team, and do you want to kind of talk about what the parts are there, how many people you have working for you, that kind of thing?
Sure. I probably have 15 or 20 people that work for me in some capacity throughout a given year.
Mm-hmm.
But I have 4 or 5 people that work for me regularly, either full-time or part-time every week. I have an administrative assistant who just does everything. I couldn't run the business without her.
Nice.
And then I have 2 coders and a designer that work very regular projects for me.
Nice.
So that's like my core team, and then I have additional developers and designers that I use kind of as overflow, as well as like a logo designer. My main designer is like a website designer, but I also have like real like creative like logo / branding types that I'll call
Mm-hmm.
on if I have that kind of project. Um, People that specialize in certain software. I have one client who uses the open source version of Magento for their site, and so I have someone that works specifically with that software on my team to do high level specific stuff with that one site.
Nice. So, do you manage everything digitally? You have an office? Do they work there with you, or how do you do that?
They all are remote, so I manage everything digitally. I have an office where I work, and
Yeah,
that's kind of
yeah.
the home base for the company. But I'm the only employee that works there.
So you could totally do this if you had to work from home, right?
Oh, absolutely, and I did for
Nice.
many years. So having the office is just a kind of another place for me to go where I can really focus and get away from
Kid
everything.
from the kids and the family. Yeah.
So I have
Um,
I'm just about to have my 4th child, so and we homeschool. So during the day the house can get a little crazy. So it's
yeah,
nice to have somewhere to go.
we almost had to reschedule today because Robert got snowed in, and he's like, I don't know if you want to have these kids in the background, but I said, whatever, let's just do it. But awesome. So, do you use any particular software or anything to manage your team, or do you just do it through Skype and email, or how do you do that?
Well, the financials and the hour tracking and all we do through Odesk,
Okay.
and that's where I find almost all of my employees.
And that's where you
Uh,
put your, okay.
yeah,
That was my
yeah,
next question.
and I communicate with them primarily with Skype. My administrative assistant manages most everyone else. I communicate with them some, especially when I first hire them. But most things, it's easier for me. If I need something done, I tell her, and then she works with everyone else to make sure it gets done.
Nice. So
Um,
she's very plays in a very important role, from what I'm hearing.
yes, yes.
But you were saying in the beginning you didn't always have this whole. I know you coded yourself, but for somebody who doesn't code and doesn't have the administrative assistant, kind of what would you have any advice for the best way to kind of get it going from the ground up, kind of thing?
Yes. When hiring freelancers, finding the right people can take a really long time, or at least a lot of trial and error. And
Right.
what I always do, if I need to hire someone new, like a new developer, especially if it's like filling a big need, um, I'll have a project in mind that I want them to work on. I'll put out an ad, and I'll hire the 5 or 6 people that look best, and then give them all that project. If it now that my business is moving a lot, sometimes I'll have several projects, and I'll give each of them a different project if I
Hmm.
have a lot of stuff for somebody to work on. But it's the perfect test because it's a real time thing. I can see how well they communicate, how good their work is, and just how well we work together, and how well they work with my assistant. And
Nice.
so, but if you're just starting out, I mean, to find somebody that works well, I think it's important to
Test them.
hire a lot of people and test them. And it becomes usually if I hire 5 or 6 people, one of them, if I'm lucky, will be somebody that I can use long term.
That makes
And
sense. So
yeah, so I think if
do you pay each one of them for the project, or is there a way that like do you take a loss when you do that, or
no, because it's usually something real small. I'll
okay,
hire them
yeah,
to fix a problem with a script, or to make this plugin that does almost what I want it to do exactly what I want it to do. It's usually something that should take 1 to 3 hours of work. Is
okay.
what I'll give them initially. So even if I hire 5, 6 people, I'm usually spending under $100 to run this whole big test, and in the end, I usually have a good result for my client or for myself or whatever out of it.
And I mean that $100 saves you a ton of time and headaches down the road, right?
Absolutely, because if you find a good coder, I mean, or a good designer or a good anybody, it's so worth it. It just relieves the headaches and makes you so much more money in the long run.
I totally understand where you're coming from with that. I've definitely had my share of difficulties with people along the way. And when as a marketer, one of the things I am always needing is graphics. And my favorite place to start is just a logo. Build me a logo. Let's see how that goes, and take it from there. But
Yeah, I'm
cool.
testing some logo designers right now, actually.
Nice.
So
Yeah, I'm actually testing one tonight myself for this site. I need a site. I need a logo for my site.
very cool.
um, okay, so just give me a quick second here to check through my questions. Um, okay, so that's awesome. I think that's very useful, some of the stuff you gave us so far. Um, okay, so just a good question. When you first started and you're starting out on your own, now you've gotten to this point where you have this huge team. What were some of the bigger hurdles for you along the way, and what did you do to sort of overcome them as far as whether it was building your team or landing clients or any of those types of things?
Hmm. Um, Landing clients was probably my biggest challenge because I'm not much of a sales guy. That's not really something that I felt like I could just go out and get clients very easily. And I didn't really know what I was doing at first. So at first I would like put something on Craigslist, try to charge as little as possible, and just to get clients in the door. Um, I got a few clients out of it, including one that is still my client today, 6 years later.
Wow.
Um, but but as a strategy, that wasn't a very good strategy to start with. But I just didn't know how to get clients in the door, and over time, I developed some strategies that would allow me to get in front of people, I guess, without uh, cold calling or selling or hard selling.
Yeah, if you want to just go ahead and share some, that was kind of my next question. So if
Sure,
you want to
sure.
just, yeah, share
I mean,
kind of
what I
how you do that. Go ahead.
the first thing that I did that really worked well was basically a system that involved cold emailing. I purchased a list of like thousands of businesses in my area, basically the white pages of businesses in
Mm,
my area, and um, I mean it was probably 100,000 businesses within a 100-mile radius of Baltimore where I live, and so I would filter the list. I think the list had a lot of information about how many sales they did and everything, and I'd cut out anything making less than um, like $50,000 a year, and anything more than $5 million a year or so. And then with the rest, I would go to every website, and I had a system that I would go through it real fast. I would spend about a second on each site and mark whether or not the website was good or not. And probably 80% of websites weren't very good.
mm,
Um, and then what I was left with was just a list of businesses that didn't have good websites that I could contact. And then I hired somebody on Odesk to go to each of those websites and find an email address, you either on the website, and if not there, then in the who is information,
Hmm.
for each one, and then send out a email that I had written to each of them individually, uh, saying, hey, I saw your website, I'm local, I would love to meet with you and see what we could do to help. And there was a series of emails that I would send out. The second one invited them to lunch. It said, I'll buy us lunch, we can sit down and talk about your website, and that one got the biggest response. And a lot of people didn't believe me, and I was like, oh, where do you want to meet? Let's go, and I'll buy you lunch, and we can talk about your website. And I got a surprisingly large number of clients that way, and that's basically how I built the base of my business years
Nice.
ago. And of the businesses that let me take them to lunch, I was 100%. I closed every deal.
Wow.
Um, and it
So
was, I
it
did something
works.
for them, and they wouldn't have asked me if they weren't looking for something already. So it was an easy sell once I
But I
got in
mean,
front of them.
yeah. Well, I mean, with 100% close rate, what is the $50 for lunch or whatever, right? Like, who cares about
Absolutely.
that? Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a very unique strategy. I've never really heard anybody that use it. I knew a little bit about the email thing because we've talked in the past, but that's pretty awesome. Um, and then so the other thing I know, just because I know you and we've talked, is networking, right? Is what you were saying. You do a lot of networking.
Yes.
Do you want to talk a little bit about where you find places to network and some of your strategies when you go to do that?
Sure. So after I had built up the core of my business, I branched. I kind of discovered networking. I discovered how lucrative it could be by going to some events like a small business expo or something like that. And I met a couple people there. I probably talked to 5 or 6 people during the whole event, and got like $10,000 worth of business out of it. And it occurred to me this was probably something I should pursue. So I found most events on Meetup.com. You
Yeah, me
just
too.
search for
Hmm.
small business networking or anything with small business or networking or chamber of commerce stuff. I don't find the chamber of commerce things usually to be quite as good of an audience for me, but they're still good. I belong to the chamber of commerce, and I still meet a lot of good people in my community there.
Nice. And so it's really kind of more the private ones that are a little bit better,
Yeah,
more
there's one that,
effective.
that I go to a lot. Most of them are free. This one costs a little bit of money. It's called Network After Work, and they're in pretty much every major city in the U.S. Once a month, and that's a cool event. There's usually hundreds of people there, and and I don't do anything real special when I go. Just try to meet as many people as you can, and realize that the reason that everybody's there is because they want to talk to people like you,
Yeah.
and introduce
All you
themselves and give you their business card.
you just
And
kind of have to say, oh, sorry, go ahead. I don't mean to
no,
cut you off.
no, it's okay.
I was saying you just say, hey, my name's Robert, and this is what I do, pretty much, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And give them your business card, but mostly you want to get theirs because
Yeah.
they're probably going to put your business card in their pocket and forget about it. But if you have their business card, then you can follow up. And and just meeting people can get you business, but following up properly is just it can get you so many clients. What I used to do, especially when I just did websites, but even now I'll do it because it has the same good effect. I'll have my team build a demo design or either a demo website or a mock-up design for anybody who I think I can help, whose business card I got at the event. And then I'll follow up with them and say, hey, we met the other night. I saw your website. Take a look at what I've done to it. I think that I could really improve it. We can work within any budget. I'd love to talk to you more about it. And some of them will invariably say, this is great. When they can look at their current website right next to this awesome thing that I've built for them, it's very easy for them to say, well, wow, how can I not want this? And
That's amazing. That's super smart.
yeah, so some of them will say, yeah, I want to do that. Plenty of them won't, but then surprisingly, they'll say, no thanks, I'm not really interested, and no problem. If you know of anybody that might be interested, let me know. And if I hear of anybody that could use your services, I'll let you know. And months later, sometimes I'll hear from them. I was talking to my friend the other day, and he runs a plumbing company, and he has a terrible website, and I thought of you because you did that mock-up for me, and I was wondering if you could do the same thing for him. And I get so many referrals that way, so much new business, because this person that I've met who wasn't interested, saw what I was able to do, and so when their friend was saying, I'm looking for a website, I was the first person that came to their mind.
Nice. And just to clarify for anybody who doesn't know what a mock-up is, a mock-up, you're not actually building them a whole website. It's just a picture, right? It's an image that shows, hey,
Right.
this is what it would look like if I was to build the whole thing for you.
Yes. Yes. Although
And
recently we've started doing more with actually building a demo site.
oh, nice.
We have a really nice and versatile WordPress theme that we're able to use that we can make it look like anything we want.
So it doesn't take you very long to do that.
Right. Yeah, my assistant does that herself. It probably takes her an hour or two to build one out.
But if that brings you $5,000 website business or something like that, right?
Absolutely.
Nice. That is a really good strategy. And that's what I was going to say. So it doesn't cost you much to do that because you already have the coders on staff. Do you pay by hour or do you pay salary with your coders?
By the hour.
By the hour. So it does cost you a little bit, but not too badly.
Yeah, it used to, when I would have the it designed, like a mock-up design by my website designer, it usually costs between $20 and $30 for a mock-up.
Yeah, which is cheaper than buying lunch.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Awesome. So I don't mean to, if you don't want to share too much about it, but how many clients would you say you've brought in through these couple methods that you just shared over the years, if you could put a number on it?
Dozens, maybe even hundreds.
Nice.
Over the years. Just lots and lots. And then, of course, those clients then become referral sources.
Which kind of leads us to what we were going to talk about, which is what you were saying your main source is now. And I realize that if you don't have a client, it's kind of hard to get referrals, which is why I wanted to get you to kind of share some ways that you can jumpstart things. But now that you have it up and running, you said it's all referrals. And do you want to talk a little bit about how you do that at all?
Sure. I get referrals from two sources. One is existing clients, and the other is from leads groups I'm a part of. I'm part of a BNI group and some other similar type groups. And
that's a group where you share leads with other different types of businesses, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So in the one BNI group that I'm a part of, there's about 30 people in it, and everybody's from a different industry, and and they're very I don't know what the word would be, but they'll pass
helpful.
50 to 100 referrals every week, and total.
Awesome.
And so it's I'll get lots and lots of business just because it's a group of business people, so everybody knows lots and lots of people, and so your network just expands so much by getting to know people like that, whether it's through a chamber or through a BNI group or through some other sort of recurring networking group.
When you say BNI, what does that stand for?
It's Business Networking International, maybe. It's probably the most well known. It's large. It's one of the more regimented ones. I'm a part of some that are a little more casual, which is
where'd you find that? Just for anybody who might want to find it for themselves is all.
I guess if you go to BNI.com, or if you're looking for something a little more casual, just search for a leads group, or ask around. When I would go networking to meetup type events, I would always, when I would get in a conversation with people, I'd say, what other type of networking do you do? And usually if they're part of a group, they'll mention that, or if there's events that aren't on Meetup that they know about, that they like, they'll tell you about those, and it's a good way to expand your circle as well. Nice. So, but BNI is more regimented. You have to attend every week or find a substitute. For years, I was familiar with it, but thought that it would be too formal for me. But I found a good group, and it works well for me at this point in the business life cycle.
Nice. I was just trying to I seem to have lost my lower third here, but oh well. Okay, so that is some excellent stuff right there. And one thing that I've always found, because I've worked with a lot of local marketers in my time too, is it seems like people overcomplicate it. They want some magic system where they just turn it on the internet and it pours leads, you know, into their business. But really, it's just about meeting people in your area, networking, and just letting people know you're around, right? And what you do for them, what you can do for them, right?
Yes, yeah, because once, I'm very shy. I'm a very shy person. I don't like
No way.
just approaching people that I don't know. I don't feel like I'm much of a salesperson. I can't like go in and just close somebody on something right now. My sales cycle tends to be long because I don't put much pressure on people.
Hmm.
And that's how I am, and that's how I don't really want to change that. I like how it is, and but just
Do what works
getting
for
out
you.
there and getting to know people, just getting in a conversation with people. Once they know who you are, they start to know, like, and trust you, and then it becomes so much easier of a sale from there than it is when you're just hitting them cold with a direct mail piece or a cold call or something like that.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I definitely know and that's how we met, right? Um, so that was actually one of my questions is, like you said, you're kind of a shy guy, shy person, whatever, and not hardcore sales, yet you're still able to charge some, 5, 10, 15,000 for your services. Is there any special strategies you use when it comes time to kind of drop the hammer and get people to pay you what you know you're worth? Or do you just put it out there and is it the lead up that makes it easy, is what you're saying,
I
basically?
suppose so. Yeah, don't think I have any special strategies, and I feel like I pro if I feel like I probably could charge more. I think my prices probably are a little lower than the my competitor who has like a real big sales guy trying to that all else being equal, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I feel like if I'm confident in what I'm able to do and in what I'm able to and what it's worth, then I'll ask for that. And if most of the time it's no problem at all. And if it is, then I usually try to work with clients and say, well, what can we do for you? What can we cut and still make this work? And not only do I still get a chance to close the deal, but they're really happy that I'm able to work with them. And with marketing type things, sometimes I'll quote my typical price, and they'll say, "Wow, that's way too high for me. We're just starting out," or I have such a small marketing budget right now. And so I'll say, "Look, let's just start with this one thing. We'll lower the price really low, and go from there." And then within a month or two, when I've brought in several clients, it's a no-brainer for them to take that money they got from those clients that I've helped them get and use that to pay me my real fee, my fee that I quoted originally.
So you go back and renegotiate after you brought them some business.
Yes, yeah. Usually, if I cut them a really good deal, it'll be with the understanding. I'll say, look, we can do it for this, but once you start seeing results, we're gonna raise the price. And they're like, oh, absolutely. I mean, it's easy for somebody to be willing to pay a lot of money when they can see that I'm making them a lot of money.
Nice. Um, Great stuff again. So one of the questions I had as well is, so you said your main bread and butter, we've kind of talked about web design it's for the most part, and one of your other ones is SEO. Is there any specific way you go about offering the SEO that you think works well, or do you have a certain time frame that you like to wait once the website's complete, or just how you kind of go about pitching your SEO services?
To clients that have already gotten a web design from me.
Yeah, or straight up if that's just what you do.
Okay. Well, for clients that I get with web design, once the website is up and launched, usually, I'll write and say, hey, everything's up. Let me know if there's any problems, and they'll usually write back and say, thanks so much. It looks great. Um, and I'll send them the final invoice, and then I'll say, we also do these other services that I may have mentioned in passing before. And one of them is search engine optimization. Now that you have this great new site, I can help you rank on page one. Here's what we've done for other businesses, and in some cases similar businesses to yours. Look at how they rank number 2 for such and such dentist or whatever. We can help you do that as well if you're interested. We can also use Facebook or whatever. I'll kind of formulate a strategy. I'll say this is what I think you could benefit from retargeting or from.
And you present that to them in a slideshow, paperwork, just talking, or?
Usually at first in like an email, or if I'm having a phone conversation with them, I'll mention it over the phone. And if they express interest, and they usually do, I'll write up a more formal proposal. Nothing super formal, but it'll kind of explain each thing in detail and about what it'll cost, and then I'll send that over to them, and that way they can pass that around their team or their board or whatever if they need to.
Cool. So a couple more things I was thinking about. So do you charge how do you charge for that? Do you charge a fat upfront fee and then a decent monthly fee, or how do you go about that?
For SEO, it's a monthly fee.
Okay.
For pretty much all the types of marketing. Monthly fee. Sometimes there's like a startup fee, but not always.
Okay.
And
How do you decide on that?
basically on how much work I feel like it'll be for me to set it all up and to run it.
Like the on-page optimization and all of that?
Right. Yeah. Where they are now, I mean, if they're at the bottom of page one and their goal is for a specific keyword phrase, and then they want to be at the top of page one, that's going to be easier than if they're brand new or if they're on page 17 right now. And also, if their site is terrible and I need to do a lot of work to it, then that'll go into the upfront fee.
Okay.
And how much competition they have. How much am I going to have to do to get them above their competitors?
Right, and you explain that to them, right?
Yes.
Cool. And then how do you deliver the service? Do you have is that part of your team as well? Do you outsource it? How do you go about that?
I do a little more of that myself, but my team helps me a lot. For SEO, I have a private blog network. I do all of the acquiring the domains. My team sources a lot of the content and puts that together. But I deal with all the hosting and all the stuff where a small screw up could really cost me big. I try to keep that. I try to do all that myself.
Understandable.
And then so a lot of it is stuff that I do. My team does content sourcing, video creation. If we do video, just simple SEO videos to try and rank for keywords. My team will, put like a slideshow together and the words and everything, and get those online and do all the stuff like OnlyWire and the different ways to help the video rank beyond our own personal network.
Nice. All right, well that all makes a lot of sense to me. I'm just double checking my questions here, a little informal, but let's see. I think we kind of hit everything for the most part. Where are we at on time? Pretty good. Sorry, everybody, 1 second. Okay, so just one kind of final question we can wrap it up with here is, and I just think it's a good one because I know when somebody's trying to figure out, hey, how do I get this off the ground for myself? There's so many different things you can do. So coming from somebody who's been able to kind of start from your basement and build up a team and charge what you charge, what would you recommend if you had to start over and make as much money as you could in 30 days with no clients and no team? What would you do? Sorry to put you on the spot there.
No, it's okay. It would be harder without a team. I think you'd have to hire. Well, if you didn't know how to do certain things yourself, you'd have to hire somebody to have for when you did get your first client. But what I would do first, right now, knowing what I know, would be getting out and networking. Meeting people, getting out in the community, and I feel like if I had done that from the start, my business would be 10 times bigger already, or it would be where it was now years ago. And so that's what I would recommend first. Just the more people you get in front of, the more people that hear your name or hear about your business, the faster you're going to grow. Because so many people need these types of services, and it's just a matter of hitting somebody at the right time. That's what the cold emailing system. I was at a marketing event. Yannick Silver held it years ago. It was probably 2010, 2009 maybe, and I was telling him about what I did and how I wasn't finding as many clients as I wanted to, and his advice was, um, if you want to get in front of someone when they've already made a decision that they need that type of service, but before they've actually done anything about it. Because if they've done something about it, then they've researched 10 different companies, and you want to hit them in that sweet spot. And that's what the cold emailing did, and what networking can do is you get in front of so many people that invariably a percentage of them are going to be in that sweet spot where they've already been thinking about that they need a new website or that they need to expand their marketing, but they haven't actually done anything yet. And then when you come along, you're just an answer to their prayer.
That makes perfect sense. Thank you for that. And one other question I thought about while you were saying that is, do you have anything that you say or do to overcome if you come across a company and they say, oh, well, we already have somebody doing that?
Um,
Do you run into that often? And if so, kind of what do you do to get around it?
Sometimes, not as often as you would think, but I mean, if I say, well, is it working well?
Yeah,
Because a
I
lot of
guess that's
times when
an
I'm talking to somebody, they've hired
obvious question.
Yodel or there's all those big companies whose big thing is pressuring people into a sale, into like a contract that goes on for a year or two, and then not delivering anything. And then it's a pain to get out of the contract, and so now they're kind of stuck with them. And they say, well, I have Yodel or I have Reach Local or whatever, and they're doing my stuff. And I was like, are you getting any business from them? I hear when I look for your type of company in our city, you're not showing up on page one at all. You're not even in the ads. What are they doing for you? And is there somehow that I could do it better? Because I feel like if you let me do your SEO, I feel very confident that I could get you on page one. And if you let me run your SEM, we can set up a separate website with a tracking phone number, and we'll do it for a month, and we'll see how many calls and emails that you get specifically from my work, and you can see what's your cost per lead, and is that worthwhile, and if you don't want to continue, no problem. And that's something I haven't mentioned is I don't have long-term contracts.
Yeah, I was going to say, so you kind of already position yourself to be better than those guys before you even speak to people, right?
Right.
And you don't do contracts. And have you found any issue keeping people on, or just deliver great service and they stick with you?
Yeah, almost never lose people. It's very rare for someone to decide to go somewhere else. Yeah, so once I have, then I feel like I don't need a long-term contract because everybody stays pretty much. And
So why scare them away with it, right?
exactly. And if you're providing a good service, then they will stay. And so and that's the first thing people think about, especially if they've used one of those companies that has pressured you into a long-term contract. They say, never again. I'm not going to sign a year contract, a 2-year contract, especially with somebody that I've never worked with before.
Makes sense. We're going to wrap this up here in just a second, but one thing you said that caught my attention, and I think it could be a good little nugget. So what exactly do you do with do you want to explain a little more about I set you up your landing page with the tracking pixel and the call. How do you do your call tracking? And you don't have to give everything away, but
Sure.
that seems like a really good strategy right there.
Yeah. So for things where it's conducive to it, specifically AdWords and sometimes Facebook marketing or things like that, retargeting, we'll build a satellite site, a separate site that.
Can you charge them for that as well?
Sometimes, but it's something that costs me $50 to set up. I'll have my team build out a site similar to their site, but using one of our templates that we already own and use, and it'll have a tracking number on it. We use ACT, automated call tracking, or something, analytic call tracking, to track our calls. We've used some other ones in the past though, and they all work pretty well. But we'll put the tracking number on there. We'll have a form that goes to a specific email address or has a specific subject line, so we'll know that these form fill outs are coming from that marketing. and
Hmm.
then we'll send AdWords there, we'll send Facebook marketing there. If we're doing retargeting, we'll send retargeting there, and then they can see what calls are coming from there and how many leads they're getting per month.
And exactly how much it's costing them, and then that just well, I obviously understand how that works, but I wanted to kind of make sure that everybody else does too. But that to me is just there's undeniable results is what's so awesome about that.
Yeah, definitely. Clients love it, and they can see, I'm paying $1,000 and this is how many leads I've gotten. This is how many. I mean, they can even see how many of those leads turned into paying customers. And if they want to do the work on their end, they can see how much revenue they got from the leads that I sent them if they want to. And
Yeah,
it makes it very easy for them to see if it was a worthwhile venture for them. And it
and it
usually is.
and it usually is. Yeah. Excuse me. Um, right on, man. Well, I think that covers all my questions. We're a little over time anyway, so no big deal. I just want to say thank you for coming on. I think that was some great information you shared with everybody. And I know you told me there's no website for me to plug right now, but I'll throw a link under here if you're seeing this a little bit later on, where you can check out some of what Robert's up to and so forth. But I just want to say thanks, Robert. It was really great having you here, and um, too bad you're not going to be at the JVZoo event next month, but hopefully I'll run into you here soon. And just thanks. Yeah, appreciate it.
Thanks.
All right, cool. Have a good one, man. Talk to you
You
soon.
too.